Hey, Shonda. Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Top of the morning to ya. Welcome to Relative Opinions.
Yes, we
Here
are
we are. We got a
relatively
lot to talk
opinionated.
about.
We
Like a
do.
lot.
We do. It's packed. It's a
You're,
packed
you're drinking
podcast.
coffee. I'm kind of jealous.
I know.
I can only have a cup a day. And that's it. That's my limit. Is a cup a day.
I started late because I hold off to do this, so I didn't start drinking
Oh
coffee.
yeah.
Yeah,
I couldn't
yeah,
wait. I
yeah.
just
Had to wait.
couldn't. All
So
right. So
we'll
let's
start with just a. We'll start with just a. At least on mine, it's just a gripe. It's not a topic. Well, it's
okay, let's
sort of
hear
is a
it. Let's
topic.
hear it, gripe.
So, I guess it was a little over a week ago. There was a little gap between our podcast there, about a week, and then so I was watching that WNBA women's basketball announcer Rebecca Lobo. So
And I'm
they had some
proud to
fouls on the
be an
court.
American.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they had some fouls on the court, and she's there among the girls are gathered there, the players, and she said, well, the differences of opinion, that's what makes America great. And suddenly you could tell somebody was talking in her ear.
Right,
And
right.
there's
I
a
guess you're not allowed
calm.
to say
Like
that.
there's a pause for about 7 seconds, which when you're in the middle of dynamics, 7 seconds is a long time. And then she comes back and she says, oh, I probably shouldn't have phrased it that way.
I have a socialist in my ear.
I
Wait
have a
one
socialist in my
second.
ear. We worry about we can't have anything sound like it might be with Trump or whatever. And it's like, of course, I was just talking about the country, America. Oh my
Right.
gosh,
Interesting, because that's a ESPN, right?
that was ESPN. Yes, that was ESPN.
And how have they made all their money? I'm just curious. Is that in America that they've made all their money?
Yes, of
Okay.
course. And of course, she goes, I should have said, it's perfectly fine. I was like, yes.
I would have walked off the job. I'd been like, this is the greatest country ever. Peace out.
They're trying so desperately. I mean, you give them this, the CNNs of the world, MSNBCs, they
ESPN.
are fighting. I mean, I don't know what it would take. It's so
drowning.
Ingrained. They are, but they're going to do it slowly. They're going to capitulate, but I mean, they don't want to. But
I think some of them are like strapping on cement blocks to their feet.
But there is a base. I'm telling you, they have a base.
Of course.
And the base is just deranged. Like I said, the people that do get like TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, that base doesn't care. That doesn't make any difference.
No, I agree. So Bernie Sanders was on Joe Rogan.
Yes.
Did you see that? Did you see that? Okay. In my opinion,
he was, because he, like you said, he was on there before, and it was Joe before Joe was enlightened.
Wait, in my opinion, Bernie Sanders looks just like that old man Muppet.
Yes, he does.
The way he moves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything about him reminds me of that Muppet, that
He's
old man Muppet.
Old white liberal Muppet.
Yep. That's what Bernie Sanders reminds me of.
You know, when he gets hit, he's like, oh, well, you know.
I don't know enough about that. I can't wait. I can't. What?
Oh, dear Lord, what have I wandered into here?
Joe Rogan's a motionless face. Like he's just looking at him, waiting for him to say something. And Rogan is very, he's not very biased in the sense of, he just throws stuff out and is trying to keep a conversation going. And Bernie Sanders was just really struggling.
Well, here's what it is. Joe Rogan's, his filter before was definitely liberal. It was much more, it's changed. And now I think he's more fact oriented. He's just more fact oriented. So he does his research.
I would not call Joe Rogan a,
that's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't call him a conservative.
I would not either. So I'm just saying, yes, he has now done his research and he's hitting it for more I'm going to stick to facts. but I am going to talk about facts. I'm not going to
Right.
go down y'all's rabbit trails of, it's hard to tell.
Okay. Anyway, I think more people, if they're not prepared to go on Joe Rogan, they're just going to come off looking really bad.
I don't think I'll be interested to see if
It was kind of embarrassing that Bernie Sanders defended 60 Minutes for that was embarrassing. Like if I were him, I'd be embarrassed that I
think
was
the whole thing
defending
was
that.
embarrassing. It didn't, but once again, I just said there's Bernie's base, and Bernie's base is that group of people. It doesn't.
Well, you're saying they're fine with that? You're saying people are fine with altering?
Not Joe Rogan's audience.
No, I understand that, but you're saying Bernie Sanders' base is that inept?
Bernie's, I don't know. Was Biden inept? I mean, that is not.
Is Bernie? But I don't. Is Bernie's base Biden's base?
Yes, because Biden's gone. So I would say Bernie's base is Biden's base somewhat now. Yes, I would say
How can Bernie Sanders still have a base? He's not going to run for president.
Anybody but Trump. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, really, they'll write books later on how Trump was a media darling, and then it's
what about a sock puppet?
I don't see a lot of politicians probably getting on Joe Rogan's show going forward, unless they're. I don't see that happening anymore. I don't even know if there'd probably be conservatives that like, oh, we don't want on a show either. 2 hours. Could you imagine you and I doing a 2-hour interview with somebody?
You're saying we couldn't talk for 2 hours?
Well, we could talk, but on one topic with one person, I mean, we'd have to have cartoon intermissions at some point. I mean, it wouldn't.
Cartoon intermissions.
We couldn't do exactly what Joe is doing, I don't think.
Well, no, I think you have to build up.
And you know what? To be fair, I'll admit it. Here it goes. I'm more biased than Joe. It would be, I couldn't walk that center line. I couldn't do it. I would have to.
Yeah,
I would deviate some.
I would probably get in arguments. He doesn't get in a lot of. I mean, he disagrees, but he doesn't really get in straight up arguments. Now, I have seen him heavily disagree with somebody, and it goes south. I have watched that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Joe Rogan's comedy. I'm not saying he can't be funny.
Oh, he can be really funny.
He also can be really mean.
Well, yeah,
Joe Rogan,
he's a comedian.
Joe Rogan.
I was watching a clip of him, and some drunk chick is like she's like heckling him. Oh, yeah. I can't imagine heckling Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
He annihilated her. Like, it was just brutal. I was like, oh.
That's what I mean. I don't have that streak. I just don't.
Okay. Any comedian, though, that can handle heckling, I would never heckle a comedian. Like a really good comedian, they can come back and just destroy you.
They're good on their feet. That's what they do. Yeah. They could pivot. They pivot. All I can think of when I say pivot is Friends. They can pivot. Pivot. Well, they can pivot and they can tear you up. Yeah, you don't want to heckle comedians. Yeah. No, I mean, if I was heckling a comedian and I'm if I'm next to somebody that's heckling a comedian, I would like pull away a little bit. Like, don't attack me too just because I'm near him.
Okay, so that happened to me. I was on some terrible date. It was a first date and only date. I don't know who he was. We were at a comedy club and he started yelling stuff out to the comedian. I was like, because the comedian like lit into him and I'm like, no, I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. I don't know who that idiot is. Not with me.
Yeah. We're on sort of a date, but it's an only date. Like, this is it. This is it. We're not. Yeah, there won't be a follow-up.
Are you single, Mr. Comedian? Because this could be a date.
If somebody could call me an Uber ahead of time, right now.
There were no Ubers.
I know there were no Ubers. Now there's robo-taxis.
Wait, about Joe Rogan, though, he's been it really almost doesn't involve him, but this guy named the Liver King,
Oh, yes, the guy
has
you
been
sent me.
having a mental breakdown. He still is
That's sort of
on
sad.
Instagram calling out Joe Rogan, who, is essentially living his life, and Joe Rogan's living rent free in this guy's head.
Yep.
And it's really disturbing to I've watched some of it and then it just started to disturb me.
Yeah,
I
I can't
can't watch
watch. Yeah, it's
anymore.
hard to watch. There's enough people out there that now
But
really
it
are.
makes me feel bad for the guy. Like, I feel bad for
Yeah, they're
him.
mentally off. They're
Yeah.
you know.
And his face, like, he just seems, I don't know, crazy. Okay. Anyway, that was just my little side note there of watching people
Watching people. See, where
melt
do we want
down
to go
on social
next?
media is disturbing. That's
Yes.
my whole point.
Like, I'm looking
Um,
for what do you
where do you want to segue? Segue, Adam. Segue.
I'm looking for a segue. I don't have one. It's a big jump because that was WNBA to Joe Rogan. So I'm not sure it's a day for good segues. I've brought things in order on my little
Wait,
thing.
WNBA, so that's the women's basketball, right?
Right.
I'm right about that.
Women's National
That
Basketball
that
Association.
new girl, Sophie, new lady, Sophie something. She's like a blonde, she's really cute, and she's like, because Caitlin Clark is always getting knocked to the ground, clawed in
Yes.
the face, and
Yeah.
everybody just stands and looks at her
Oh,
like,
it's
oh, it's
horrible.
horrible. The refs don't do anything. I would quit personally, but um, I like the new girl with spunk and attitude. She's like, bring it. I'm gonna defend my teammate. I like her.
Well, you know what? They need people like that because that's the only way people are going to watch.
That's true.
Because, once
Have you
again,
ever watched? I've only ever watched clips. Have you ever watched a whole
no,
game?
no,
Yeah, I
no,
haven't either. I've watched
no.
an entire dudes basketball game,
You
but
know
I've
what?
never watched.
When sports, well, not that I'm not saying that everything's political, but when sports gets political, in sports, a lot of times can survive that because they're just the bigger draw, the physicality, but women's sports can't survive that so much. Uh, and
What?
they're not watched near as much anyway. And that frustrates liberals. Like they should be equally watched. I'm like,
Wait,
it's too bad
wait,
people have
what?
free opinions.
Outside of the Olympics, so you have women's basketball, but what other women's
Sports, does
sport
anyone
outside of the
watch?
Olympics? Outside of the Olympics, what
Okay,
is there?
the only women's sports that I think
Oh,
people
there's
watch.
tennis.
No, I was going to say there's two. There's that I can think of. There's tennis, which I watched women's tennis for a while because women's tennis, I'll say this, uniquely enough, men's tennis got so, their serving, this is probably, got so strong and so powerful that it was
Hmm.
just about atomic servers with these high tech rackets. And I like to see net play. Women's tennis don't have the same, normally, that when I say that, then I think of somebody like Serena Williams. But normally they don't have the same power, so they do have a little more finesse. And so women's
Well, they
tennis,
still don't have the same power. She said that herself.
yeah, they
Like
don't, they don't, they don't.
yeah.
And men are taller, yeah, it's they don't. There's no competition. There was something back in the day where like Billie Jean King played against a guy and she took him out, but he was a normal, yeah, yeah. But
He was
women's
just a
tennis,
dude
and
walking down the
yes,
street.
and then the other one is softball. But who watches women's softball are only people in that group. I don't watch women's softball either. But I'll tell you what I do watch. I'll watch women's softball clips sometimes, and they're good. Like everybody watch an incredible athletic feat. I watched one the other day, and the girl made I don't even know how she did it. She came from nowhere to catch the ball. But if you said, will you watch a whole game? No, I will not watch a game.
Okay. I've watched
Oh, I'll watch
oh
women's sometimes MMA.
yeah. Yeah, I've watched that. So that's a little bit different.
Sometimes it makes me feel uncomfortable. They just beat the crap out of each other and it makes me feel uncomfortable like
You ever notice their injuries aren't quite as brutal as the
oh,
men's injuries? Like the
oh,
dudes, their faces split open. But
yeah.
women can't hit as hard. so their faces fare a little. I mean, I'm not saying they don't bleed.
Yeah, so that's I do have problems watching them women beat up women. But I'm like, that's
Trying
what
to
they
think.
do.
I don't think I've ever in my life watched a WNBA game.
No, neither have I. Neither have I.
I don't. I like to watch ice skating and gymnastics. That's it. I'm not a big sports person. I mean, I'll just say that up front. But overall, the thought of watching women play sports, that's painful. I don't
Yeah,
want to watch women
yeah.
play. I'm not saying they're not good, and they certainly could decimate me. I
I'm
just
sure there's a
don't
group out there of liberal tied into the media. They're like,
liberal.
how can we create a women's football team?
I mean, if it
the
didn't
the problem is high school boys could beat them. That's the problem. Did you see I know it's
soccer,
old.
women's soccer,
Women's soccer.
we
Yeah.
left women's soccer out.
Yeah, I thought about that. That's why I said it. Women's soccer. And but once
I haven't
again,
watched that
the
either.
Americans women's soccer. Remember how politicized it got during the Olympics? You had,
Yeah, that
the one specifically.
whatever happened to her, Rapinoe, or what happened to her? She moved to another country.
No, hopefully.
I think she moved to another country or
Hopefully.
something.
Yeah.
It all fell apart. She became a Victoria's Secrets model, which was a bad move.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
I think she somehow was connected to Victoria's Secrets. And yeah, what Victoria's Secrets forgot is the whole idea of Victoria's Secrets was beautiful women. That you'd look at them and you'd go, I want to buy that. That's going to look incredible. Like if she looks, I can at least look somewhat decent in it.
Right.
But if you use people that no one wants to look like, it's kind of hard to sell the product.
Yes. Like I was gonna model Speedos for a while, and then I thought, no, it won't work. It won't work. They would have
Did
to
you
wear
have to say that?
They would have to wear dark glasses. They'd be like, yeah, we went into the Speedo shop, and that guy was in there, but they put on glasses we couldn't see. Yeah, there you go. Okay, segueing right from that, we'll go to RFK on, which is a horrible segue. We'll just to
Wearables?
RFK on wearables and what
On
we were
wearables?
talking about. We'll talk about that, but about what you were talking about with radical change. We'll tie it
Radical
in.
change, yeah.
So RFK came out and said his goal for the health, I mean, he did it under the auspices of health, is that all Americans should have wearables, and here's the word that no one likes, that will track everything. I was like, dude, you really don't know. You don't know how many alarm bells go off when you're like, they'll track and monitor all this. I'm like, oh, I'm sure they will. And when the government tracks and monitors, it won't ever go outside the bounds.
It's never a problem. No.
It's never a problem.
It's never a problem at all.
Will there be a kill switch? I understand what he's saying. Okay. But
because we've become so unhealthy.
We're so unhealthy. But I also want to say, if the government was involved, there would be an element immediately. At the point, first of all, when you hear somebody say everyone, that's his goal. Everyone is a group. It's everyone. Well, that means there's people, a ton, who won't want to wear them. You'll have to wear them too, which reminds you of COVID shots, in my opinion. In other words, it's everyone against your will. If people wanted to do it, and there was no punishment, but it won't work that way.
There's no punishment.
There is no punishment.
Wear a wearable.
You know what they'll do? Because they'll be like, no, it would be up to you. You know what would end up happening? It would be, oh, you're not wearing a wearable, you're uninsurable, but you don't have to wear one.
Right.
Yeah. But you can't get insurance anymore.
But you can't get it. You can't get health insurance anymore. So we're sorry.
That was a horrible idea. I'm sorry. It's a horrible idea, and I really want to say, fix your own stuff first. Like you've got vaccines, you've got things you want to do. You work on that stuff. Don't work on things that take away people's choice.
Look, I'm not behind the scenes, so
You're not?
No, I try to be. I'm not though. Uh, I just think that I'm glad he's working on our food system. And I know some stuff about vaccines have come up too, but I'm so untrusting at this point that
Absolutely.
I need to see major progress because when Kennedy ran, and I've read a few of his books, especially regarding Fauci, I need to see. I don't think anyone's going to be held accountable, but obviously not. But I do think until I see major progress on vaccines, I'm gonna just sit back and see what happens. I mean, I just feel I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Oh, and that is a good thing because actually there is a
But mRNA vaccines, they I still haven't I know we're not even through the year or anything like that. We're not even at the 6-month mark. Are we? Are we at the
no,
6-month
we're
mark? Yep.
yeah, January to June. It's 6 months. We're actually getting ready to hit set month 7.
S- I I just know that he scaled back on talking about that.
Yeah, I think I mean we talked about it earlier. He talked about radical change. I think and radical in government is really never that doesn't work out well. Um, government can't move if it's political in nature. It's unfortunate, but government still can't move that quickly. It's not private enterprises. That's why capitalism works because private enterprises can move. Government can't move that quickly. And so you can't expect him. I'm sure he got in there thinking he could do everything. Look at Trump. And Trump wields way more power than RFK. And he's making great strides, but he's running into things at every turn. And I guarantee there's a system in place, and RFK still has to work within that system. And that is a segue into the win. Huge news, which is the Supreme Court coming down in a 6-3 ruling that these little district judges all over the country, little communist liberal district judges that allow or disallow things. It's always against conservatives lately. I mean, it's against Trump always. They're
Always.
not
Yeah.
elected and they defy the will of the entire country. Like, in other words, Texas could be doing something on deporting illegals, and they can from New Hampshire they can issue a mandate. You can't do that anymore. So they bind the whole country until a higher court reverses their opinion. But that could take forever. And so they were basically hitting Trump at every turn. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of us were like, he's just going to have to. So my hat's off to him. He's going to have to quit obeying them, but he didn't. So my hats off to him for that. He didn't, and instead, the Supreme Court has ruled they do not have that power under the Constitution that was given them. They don't have the power to restrict the president in the way they're doing it, where they can issue these. It's if it was Muslims, what is it called? I mean, seriously, it's like a fatwa,
Sharia law.
but it's like a fatwa. I think it's called fatwa. Like that's
Oh.
that. It's you can't do it.
Oh,
And that's
okay.
what they were
Okay.
doing. They were issuing these things and saying, you know what, you still have to. I'm just using examples like you can't stop transgender from in the military, or you have to allow, or you have to. It made no difference whether it was under his scope of authority or not. These judges were blocking him at every turn. And that has
Right.
major repercussions. I mean,
It does.
major. So when you talk about movement, Trump is going to be able to um, move quicker. And I don't want to just say Trump, but what the people voted for now can happen
Right.
because they're
Right.
not being blocked.
At
And it's
every
never going to be
single
all the people. Sorry, that ain't going to
and
happen.
I think Katanja, what's her name? Justice Katanja Brown. Is it Brown? Is it wait.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Amy Comey Barrett there wrote she just annihilated her on her wording. It's like a senior in high school wrote
yeah,
her dissent piece.
yeah.
It was kind of embarrassing
Yep.
that you're at the highest power and those are your writing skills. It's
That's what
great.
happens when you have anybody in any office where it's just a political appointee. You see that in Congress now. You see Congress, and by the way, both sides of the thing, liberals, conservatives, you see Congress and women that are very well spoken. And then you see others. It's like, how did you get in here?
Jasmine Crockett.
How did you get in here? You know, and you get
So
all this press,
embarrassing.
but you're an imbecile. You're an
Unfortunately
imbecile.
so.
So
Unfortunately so.
so anyway, that was a wonderful thing that passed. Um, so hats off to the Supreme Court for doing it. So do we
Yeah,
want to
no,
go
that was good.
to? We've got
Let's
Madani in New York. We can talk about
let's
him.
go to New York City, baby.
Yeah, except we don't want to ever go to New York City, and I can't believe people want to live.
I was looking up when the election would be, and I was like, is that November? So if I were gonna go to New York City, I definitely want to go before November.
I'm starting to view New York like UK. I
But
mean,
what's the problem there? I'll tell you what the problem is that you have a bunch of young people who don't understand what socialism is.
okay, okay. Well, I agree with that, except the free handout thing, the free handout. They're incredibly in debt.
Governor had more power than the mayor. I'm a little I don't
It's
think
a
I
little weird because what Madani is saying. Well, let's wind it back. So you have a guy who's been a American citizen, I believe, for 8 years.
I have no
Okay,
idea. I really don't
I
know
think
much
it's eight
about him.
years. I think it's 8 years. So he is running on this platform, this radical platform, and he's espoused
Free, free, free.
free grocery
Everything is
stores, free
free.
this, but he's also run about against police. He said we need to save up our money so we can oppose ICE, and we don't have to. We can go against Trump, and but he also talks about like he's made things about against Jewish uh, populations. He's moved so far beyond the scope of what a mayor does. It's like you understand you're a mayor, you're not a governor, you don't have foreign relations power that you can.
He's not the mayor of New York State.
Yeah, it's
He's the mayor of New York City. I don't actually know who the mayor
well,
of
he
Dallas
almost is
is, to be
acting like
honest.
a congressman would be, where they can get involved in those type of politics. It's ridiculous what he's proposing. I read this the other day. Check out this stat. This will tell you New York has some problems. And one of these topics is we focused on illegal immigration, but there's a gigantic problem of legal immigration. Because don't forget, that's been occurring under all these presidents as well as legal immigration.
Of course.
Allowing people to immigrate that will not absorb and will immediately, on large groups, will demand change, okay, when they slowly become in power. And so check this statistic out. 1/3 of New York City's population is foreign born. Foreign born. And
Right.
check this out, which you just said about the young people. 2/3 of New York City's children are living in a foreign born household.
All right. That's
Okay?
great.
So you get third world migration, you get third world politics, you get third world
Absolutely.
everything. And you can see it unfolding in other countries in Europe. It's going to unfold here. That's the way it's going to work.
Of course it is.
So
Yes.
Madani is out there with people, he's with groups of people chanting, death to America. He was out in the Tesla protest, shutting Tesla plants down. He is anti.
Obviously they have higher political goals for him.
Yes, yes. Um,
Because he's young. He's a young man. He's young.
yes.
He's a young guy.
There is, I think you've seen this, and I would encourage, we could talk about it another time because it's always prevalent. I forget the guy who does it. He is on X, and he talks about what's called the totalitarian tiptoe. When you start at A,
A
totalitarian,
totalitarian?
did I say it wrong?
Is it
Totalitarian, totalitarianism. I didn't say it right.
totalitarian?
Yeah.
Totalitarianism?
Totalitarianism.
Okay. Are you saying that right?
I think so. I know total is spelled TOTAL, so totalitarianism.
Okay.
I think so. So he says that's the thing where you come in and you show that you're really just trying to achieve, you're doing A or B or C, but you want to get to Z, but you have to have everybody believe and not realize
Of
that
course.
all these individual events, they're just isolated. It's not on the road to get to Z where you really want to go. You call it the
You mean like
totalitarian
in,
tiptoe.
like in New York City, I saw that they gave a call to prayer in like Central Park. I mean,
Oh,
loudly, like,
well, they were saying the Muslims have taken over the parks.
that's
They're just
nice.
taking over the parks.
That's
Yeah,
that's nice.
so I want to go, they want Sharia law. They can you understand the people that whatever I want to go. They
But that's
want
an interesting divide there. You're talking about progressive New York City who's tolerant of everything, and Sharia law that's tolerant of nothing.
right,
I
right.
don't really understand that then.
And I want to say these people, I want to go, you understand in their religion, they're allowed to lie to accomplish things. Not like that's a new concept.
I
Politicians
think a
lie
lot
all
of
the time.
politicians
They lie all
lie.
the time. Okay. They just don't write it down that it's okay. But under
There's
the
a lot of people
yeah,
lying.
yeah. They just don't write it down that it's okay to accomplish your goals. So I want to go, it's ridiculous that they're going to do this. Um, it's going to be a failure, but it moves the bar because there is a point where, Eric Adams got in there, who's the current New York City mayor, and he sort of saw the light of day on stuff because he's in there and he realizes how ridiculous is what Mamdani is saying. It's just ridiculous.
What's ridiculous is
I
that
can't believe they're voting for this guy.
Cuomo was running again after his nightmare stuff. I mean, what is wrong with New York City? I'm being serious. What's going on there? What's
Yeah,
wrong with them? So if you get Mandani,
there's not a B in his name.
no, I know I wrote it down. Mumdani.
But
Yeah.
we need to do what other people do if we don't like somebody. No, I'm serious. I always thought it was very clever to do plays on words. When they'll say like "mum dummy," "mum," like in other words. Do we not do that though? We're not clever enough to do that. Trump
So
does it.
if he gets to be mayor and then Wiener is on the city council, that'll be an interesting yeah. Yay, New York City, you're making strides into
Yeah, yeah,
some hellscape. It'll
yeah.
be fun.
It
Yeah.
really will be eventually escape from New
Escape from New
York.
York.
It really will be.
I don't know that there will be a Kurt Russell to go save it though.
No, no. And I'm sure the city will prosper. So they won't be counting on tourism dollars in the future
No,
because
they won't
no
be.
one in their right mind is going to go to New York City.
No, absolutely not. But it'll be a travesty, by the way, because you're going to lose things that you never thought you'd lose.
And I don't know what the
And when
population of New York is. It's
when you
huge.
wake up, it's going to be too late.
Oh, it is. That's why I said
Yeah,
that.
when
That
you wake
tiptoe.
up, it's going to be too late for
Yeah.
you.
So go
Can
on
we,
X, check
at
out that
that
video.
point, can we build a wall around New York City? LA wall, New York City wall. Oh, you know who got married this weekend?
Who?
Jeff Bezos.
Now he was married before. He was the one.
Jeff
All these rich people
Bezos.
get involved in this super expensive divorce. So his reptilian wife, is that a new wife or is that the old wife?
Reptilian? What are
Yeah, the
you
one that
talking
has
about?
Bezos, didn't she the one that looks sort of like she had all the augmentation? She was really pretty, and then
That's his new Barbie wife.
oh, that's
Yes.
her. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Reptilian. His what are you talking about? So they rented wait, where are the gondolas like you float down the river? The
Venice, I think.
Venice.
Yeah,
I think they rented Venice for $51 million.
they rented like the city.
Yeah, they rented Venice.
Why didn't they rent New York? They should have rented
No,
New
they don't.
York.
They don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. But they rented Venice, and they had a foam party on a yacht. But they let people, like, they want it filmed. They want their indulgences filmed. It showed them frolicking in the foam and
Foam party.
a foam
I can
party.
relate to bubbles. I've never frolicked in foam, but I frolicked in bubbles. Yeah,
And
like
here's the great
little
thing.
bubble machine.
People are upset about this, right? That that's $51 million. I mean, that really is an expensive wedding. But you know what? Everybody uses Amazon. People,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
people are allowed to be rich. America, you made Jeff Bezos rich. He pays taxes. He doesn't owe anybody anything. If he wants to spend $51 million on a wedding, he can spend $51
Yeah,
million
no, no,
on
no.
a wedding. I don't
I don't
really
have any problem
care.
with that. He pumps it
I
into
don't
the.
either. Now, I try not to order a lot of Amazon stuff because it irritates me.
Can't
But
help it. I can't. Got it.
yeah,
Gotta
you have
have
a
it. I
problem.
didn't know I
You
even needed
really,
it, but if Amazon has it,
you have a problem, man.
I
You
do.
don't even know what you get from Amazon.
Wait,
You
where is
just
it?
get stuff
Where is
delivered.
it?
It's
Oh,
a
I was
problem.
gonna show you. You know what I'm using, but see, look, look, look. That is my.
Uh-huh.
You said this is a cool purchase. This is
It
my.
is. It is.
This is my automated squirt gun that I hit my cat with, and occasionally tick my wife off because I shoot her sometimes, and my kids. Um, but it's wonderful. See, Walmart doesn't have this, so I had to go to Amazon. Sorry. Are they our sponsor? Are we sponsored by Amazon?
No, but they have really expensive lawyers that could sue you for saying that.
I said,
We are
are we?
not.
I said,
We are
are
not.
we? I said, are we sponsored? I phrased it like a question.
We are not sponsored by. I don't think Jeff Bezos would like us, Adam.
He probably would. He probably would.
What kind of prenup do you think they have?
Oh my gosh.
What
It's signed
do
in
you
blood. It's just like, I'll buy you all
prenup
this
is
crap,
that?
but you are not getting my wealth. Because at some point, I'm going to shoot some nude pic or do something like
Or
I've done
somebody new.
before.
Yes.
And
Because
you're going to.
his original wife, his first wife, because this is only his second, she walked away with a bit because he
Oh,
had nothing when he
right.
married her.
Right. She's one of she's one of the richest women in the world, of course, now. Bill Gates' wife, original
Oh
wife,
yeah,
same thing.
yeah.
These women, because the guys,
He
I was
only
like,
has he's only had one. I
who?
don't I don't Bill Gates.
No, he got
I don't.
divorced.
Yeah, I know, but you said his original wife, but he's only had one wife. He is divorced, but that his
Well, yeah, he
ex-wife
might have
is
caught
it.
on. He has his priorities. He's killing us. Hopefully, taking out the planet with various types of control, so he's focused. He doesn't have time for a wife.
Can
So
you imagine dating Bill Gates as a woman? He's so awkward, and I think he has some ties to Epstein. So I'm sure whatever he's doing, he stopped. Though I'm sure he's a good guy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sure he's not involved in.
I'm sure he's a good guy. I
Yeah.
don't want to. I'm sure whatever
Maybe
his
we say, in case anybody
proclivities
know,
were, I'm sure they'd
these are
stop.
just our opinions.
These are just our opinions.
Opinions.
That's my
Okay,
opinion.
that's my
That
opinion. There's these podcasters in Texas. Sue them into the dirt. Yeah. So there you go. I can't remember how
Right.
we got that topic. Oh, I was gonna say you were talking about Bezos. I was like, but can't you imagine? We talked about we don't have a problem with him spending that money.
No.
Can't you imagine? You're up and coming. Here's your phone, and and you're a wedding event planner, and it's like, what? You want me to plan your wedding? I mean, that's the
Just
best
change
day.
your life.
That's the best day of that person's life.
It really is. So wait,
There's
what's
no
interesting?
budget whatsoever.
$51 million. It was probably more than that. Lauren Sanchez, his new wife, she used to be really beautiful.
No, that's what I was saying. It was
Like she was really pretty. And now
Yeah,
She's her
she's
face is so strange and her body is so it's been altered to the point of I don't know, it's kinda I find it very sad.
but they're
That's all. I just
surrounded, all of these, and I'm going to say women more than men, but men too. They're surrounded by people where that has become normal. Like, in other words, we all know how weird it looks. Those of us who are sort of non-altered,
Yeah,
and I
but
don't.
remember, Escape from LA with Kurt Russell? And they, like these freaks, they're plastic surgery freaks. Do you know what I'm talking about? And him and I don't remember the female lead in that movie. I don't remember who it was, but they're like, "You have pretty eyes." And they're all weird, like they have these high cheekbones and these exaggerated lips. Do you remember that?
No, I
And so they're
don't.
obsessed with plastic surgery. That's what
Well,
it reminds me of. Like the
yes,
Kardashians,
yes.
their faces just you're like, oh my gosh, what's happening, Nicole Kidman? I just
But
have
then
to
it's
oh,
normalized. It's normalized, like we normalize everything. All
okay,
right,
what's next on your list, Adam?
I've got
What
three
fun
more
thing?
things. I've got another win for the Trump administration. It's not a win.
Oh,
I'm sorry. It's
okay.
not a win.
Okay.
It looks like it may be a win. You have a
What's the
congressman.
win?
No tax dollars for organizations that promote riots, because these organizations hold riots. The riots cost millions upon millions of dollars in damage. They're anti-American. They're anti-whatever. They're not. They're not. They're not. They're not First Amendment stuff. They're riots. And then these organizations go back and from NGOs and stuff and get tax dollars to do it again. No more tax dollars for
That's
organizations
good.
that
I mean
promote
that
riots.
that'd be really great.
That's
That
what
would
they're
be
going to
fan.
push. That's
I
not
could.
passed or anything, but just the fact, it's like, what a great thought. What a great thought. Yes. They are looking at ways of cutting off the heads of the hydra one at a time and keeping them from regrowing. That's the thing. I mean, they're some of these changes they're doing, like the district judges.
Do you ever feel like it's a step forward, a couple steps back, a step forward, a couple. What I mean by that is, like, that's great. That really is. And I don't mean to be like a Debbie Downer here, but then I watch, Peter Thiel
Right.
with Palantir, and he got this huge contract for AI in the army, and all this stuff is happening. And you really should watch some interviews with him because he doesn't like transhumanism at all. Oh wait, he does. He doesn't. I mean, he doesn't. His his ideas, some of them are straight up out of Revelation.
Yeah, they're end time stuff. Some of the AI stuff is, but I can't even wrap my head around all of it. I really want to do for us, a deep dive into that at some point, that would,
So
but it is
so when you
overwhelming. It's
yes, of course it
overwhelming.
is. So when you say like we have this coming and this coming, and I think that's great. But I feel like the track we're on is the track we're on.
Right. Wearables, if you have health wearables, I promise you AI will be involved in that.
I mean, I wear a wearable. I wear I track my for now.
Right.
For now I
At
do.
some
But
points in your life, obsessively so.
I don't do that now.
I remember
I
that
thought I
period.
thought I was dying and I needed to track it. Needed to track my dying. I needed to track my extra heartbeats.
And then I buy things and I misplace them and then I don't wear them anymore.
I still wear my
I've been
little
looking at
Fitbit.
I've been looking at getting an Aura ring.
Why don't you just borrow one of your children's that you got him they probably don't wear?
Where's his? He does wear it.
Does wear his?
I didn't get one.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought you did.
No? No.
Oh, okay.
That was just so
Okay.
I'm looking at
All
one of
right.
those. I may have one soon.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I can't wear his when he joins. My oldest son is gonna become a police officer, and you can't wear.
Don't say where or
I'm not
anything
gonna
like
say
that.
where.
Okay. Okay.
New York City. Um, not. Anyway, they can't wear them because there's encounters they could have where they could be hurt having a regular ring, so they can wear silicone rings and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so my last two topics is Israel, because the entire thing, if people are watching a podcast, they're like, the entire thing that they call it now, the 12-day war, took place between our episodes. It was sort of a big deal.
That was a quick war. That's like a rumor of a war almost.
We couldn't play
wars
catch up.
And rumors of wars.
Yes. So, Israel struck Iran because Iran failed some nuclear proliferation.
Where are we in the playbook? Wait,
so
where
yeah,
are we?
where we? So I'll go past that. So they struck Iran. Iran came back. We've given billions to Iran so they could develop stuff. Previously, previous presidents have given them tons of money. And then we play all sides. Okay, we've done that forever. That's what the U.S. does. We play all sides. But then Trump, we pretty much looks like bombed their nuclear facilities for the production of high-end uranium, weapons-grade uranium, and Trump engineered a ceasefire. Now, when he first engineered it, it failed immediately because Israel's like, well, we still want to drop one more load of bombs. And I would say Trump was, I think the word would be pissed. He was
he was
mad.
Very upset. He
dropped
was mad.
an F-bomb. He normally doesn't do that. He was mad. I think he got on that phone. What do they call Benjamin Netanyahu? Bibi? Like Bibi.
Yeah.
Bibi, you're about not to have any U.S. money, Bibi. You're about to, yeah. And so it stopped. And so there is I hope it lasts, but it's a tentative peace. I want to go, these countries have been fighting for thousands of years, but it's a win. And I won't go into it because I hate to paint a positive thing and then do a negative. Am I worried about false flags? Yes, because we have lots of false flags. Yes. Playbook is, then there's a false flag to get it back going. Let's hope not. And if you don't believe in false flags, disinformation, we have so many. We have whole wars, Vietnam War, whatever. If you look at origins of things, they're usually false flags usually done by our allies to us to get us back in, roundabout, or done by ourselves. I can think of one. Done by
ourselves. And remember Ukraine? We also do.
Nord Stream pipeline. Russia blew that up. Oh, of course they blew their own pipeline up. No, that works. There's no play that worked for Russia. I want to go. So many things are engineered for us to get involved.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I could see components of Israel engineering a false flag event. I could see components over here engineering it. I'll give you one more. I could see a country that doesn't like us engineering a false flag event.
Absolutely.
Because guess what? It's a drain for us if we got involved in a Middle Eastern war. Okay? So you have several distinct groups.
You can't.
Yes.
You could never win it. There would be no win.
I don't want to be a political analyst because I'm not. I just shoot from the hip, But it would be, let's say you're China. And you want to do a false flag event because you want us tied up in a Middle East thing because China wants to get a hold of places like Taiwan. Then when we're dealing with all this, China be like, I'll go for Taiwan now. So it's beyond our what we can talk about.
Well,
because,
didn't we win the Iraq war? Oh, wait, no.
Regime change. We like regime change.
Because
whoever we put back in power, they'll like us forever. Oh no, they always hate us. They always hate us. That never works for us. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. And what it did do though, Israel and Iran, is it made MAGA and MAGA fight.
Yeah. So you had these divisions. MAGA people were fighting MAGA people.
You're not a real MAGA person. No, you're not.
Yeah, that was sort of disturbing to see, but it was occurring.
And it was so quick, too.
It was quick.
It
says a lot about us as human beings that our response, we don't wait. we respond very
Why can't,
quickly.
first of all, why can't you disagree with people and you still, just because I voted for Trump doesn't mean I agree with everything.
Right. Absolutely,
I
we
can
don't.
say stuff about Trump and call it out, and it shouldn't be like, look at you. You're not, now you're not MAGA. Well, I don't really consider myself that anyway.
Right.
I don't get it.
No, so it was disturbing. However, it's died down because all is good. And
Well, right, because they can't keep it going. They
Scott
can't.
Adams had the interesting comment. He's great. The creator of Dilbert before he got canceled. Um, he said, he's like, these MAGA people that fought. He goes, what are you thinking? He goes, they're not going to become Democrats. In other words, they're still really conservative. They just have instant opinions of it. He goes, but you know what? Very Trump saying is what he says. He goes, winning fixes everything.
It does.
And there's some
Winning
truth
does
in
fix
that.
everything.
In other words,
Yeah.
it's quieted down with the exception of one person that we aren't going to talk about who's sort of gone off the reservation. Hey. Yeah. Candace Owens.
But wait a minute.
She has gone a little bit. It's like
Yeah.
you should be happy, Candace, that it didn't turn out that way. She was one of the ones that went off. We can say that she's one of the groups that went off on each other. We follow Cat Turd and the Hodge twins. They went at each other immediately.
And I still like all these people. I still like them. It hasn't changed I still listen to them and watch them. I like the Hodge twins. I like Cat Turd. I like Candace Owens.
Right. Well, I got one for you. How about before all this, it just shows you Elon and Trump. We really didn't talk deeply about it, but it was unfortunate.
But that didn't feel real to me. That didn't even feel real. It felt fake. I didn't get it. It was just so random.
I know we thought it was fake, but I think it's real because I'll say this: Trump has been beat up so much over the first 4 years in office and then the 4 years following it. I think he probably is he's not as thick-skinned as he used to be. And I think he really is like one of these things like in an Italian, you're dead to me. You're dead to me. And then he lashes out. And Elon isn't going to hold back either. I'm glad they've calmed down.
You're dead to me.
Yeah, I do. I think Trump's like, you're dead to me.
All of us, I think a lot of us are very, at times on edge. I know sometimes I am.
No, we are.
If you start talking about vaccines with me, I get a little rabid. I'm like, rah, rah.
Yes.
I can get really intense about it.
Yes.
Quickly.
As her husband sort of shrinks out of the room. This is too intense.
Because I felt like I endured something. And it was hard. I endured it. And now that sometimes people are like, hey, you just need to let it go, like move on. No, I'm not going to move on because nothing's been solved. It could happen again.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It ticks me off. That's like, I'm not allowed to, this sounds bad when I say it this way, to still dwell on things. Well, I'm going to still dwell on things because.
Dwell on it because nothing changed. Nothing. What would keep it from happening again?
I talked to a person the other day, a lady the other day. Really, she's a really nice lady, great lady and everything, but she was talking about the new strain of COVID. I'm not even aware of a new strain. I don't keep up. It's another COVID strain, but it's like strong COVID or something. Anyway, it's a new strain. And she got it.
Involves the throat.
Yeah, I think so. And she got it, and it took her out for 10 days or so. And I have enough relationship with her. I asked her but I knew the answer. I didn't have to wonder. I knew the answer. I was like, were you vaccinated? Did you take the vaccine? I said it very casually. And the answer is, of course. She took the vaccine. She's like, she didn't take the last round or whatever, but she took the vaccine. I was like, it's the people that took that poor vaccine that they're the ones that they should be worried when there's a new outbreak of COVID more than anybody.
They should be worried
because
I don't really think about it. I really don't give it much thought.
Either.
I did hear that
it's still in their lexicon.
In my mind, it's just a virus. It's out, and you could get a really sore throat or something like that. But I haven't let it go because is Fauci retired on some estate somewhere, living his best life? I think he is. I mean, nothing happened. Nobody was held accountable for crimes against humanity. Nobody has been held accountable for all these people who were injured.
Yes.
Nothing.
And by the way, we're going to use that as a defense, a legal defense, makes it defensible. If we ever get big enough where we could be sued, don't mind us. It's a side effect of long COVID. That's you gotta
That's
you.
Right.
That's
I
right. It's long
endured long
COVID. Yeah, don't
COVID.
blame us. It's long
No,
COVID.
that's it's true. I'm waiting for someone to be held, or a couple people to be held accountable. I'm still waiting.
Because they're talking about it all the time. I watched I don't know, I watched a piece, I don't know how old it was, on it was an embalmers convention. Which
Oh, that's a
did
little
you,
older,
I
but
know it
yeah, I know what you're
is.
talking
I
about.
knew it was
Yeah.
probably older, but it's these embalmers, and I didn't really want to watch it because, man, that's a job I don't want ever.
You're talking about all the blood
They're
clots and
talking all the different types, and they're describing the new types of clots they found that they'd never found before. And you break them apart, and some do this, and some are. And I'm like, oh, I, I didn't, I didn't really want to listen to the guy talk because he's very matter of fact.
So you know how they have congressional hearings and people go before Congress and they
Yes, all the
speak
time.
and all the time, and so nothing, again, nothing ever changes. I
No.
don't get it. Oh, wait. So what happened when they were like, "Hey, the Biden regime, they were one of the biggest traffickers ever."
Oh, we can't do it today. It's too quick, but yeah, the whole about the delivery of the children to we should talk about that.
Wait.
That's
What
we
what
can't.
happened? So what happened? People go before Congress, are like, "Yeah, we did traffic a lot of children." Okay. Did you lie about it when you were asked? Yeah, I did lie about it.
I don't
Okay,
know
well
why they don't.
we just wanted to know that. Now move along.
I couldn't handle that.
Where are those children? What happened? Like what? I don't, no one's held accountable. I don't get
Right, right. The
the
political.
auto pen. Is that just going to go away now? The auto pen. Yeah, that was me. I was running the auto pen, and
We
so
will
be it.
have to have a show that starts in January of 26. God willing, we're all here.
No, I'm kind of hoping we're not.
January
I hear a
26th to
trumpet.
say what occurred, like what was done. Was there anything that was unexpected? Like what you're saying, Shonda, was there anything that was resolved?
Yeah.
Like something
Was
was
anything
done. Was
resolved?
somebody resolved? Was it somebody held accountable? What was resolved? We know everything's
Or
talked
is it
about.
always a playbook? Is it always a giant playbook? Okay, scene, act, scene, done.
Right.
What?
Right. I mean that,
I
that
just want to know, is anyone in power ever held accountable?
right. Right.
Is anyone in power ever held accountable?
Yeah.
If
And I'm
Bill
sure, by the way, all sides feel that way. I'm sure our opposites somewhere feel the exact same way. These people are not held accountable. I'm sure
Okay,
but it goes both ways. Nobody's
yeah,
held accountable.
of course it goes both ways. But I think most people can agree trafficking children is got to be one of the most heinous things that you can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have a hard time thinking anyone could be like, "Yay!" Well, I mean, you're like,
Well,
I don't know what kind of human.
I could think of topics, but see, when I say that, yes, trafficking children. But then I'm not even going to get into this, but you could say there's groups in society that are allowed to commit various sexual abuses, and it's okay.
You're talking about the elite.
Well, no, believe it or not, I'm not that too, but I'm talking about against women, against children. Take a look at UK. Take a look at whatever.
Right.
I want to go.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I
Yeah,
know where
yeah.
you're
You
going
can
with
read into
that.
that, people. So when you say sex trafficking,
Are
I'm
you
like,
this culture? Then it's okay.
yeah. And I'm
Is
not
this your
saying.
culture? Then
And,
we don't want to offend you.
and you know
But
what? When push comes to shove, they'll always take they'll say, well, that's an extreme group. That's a whatever. And I'm like, when you get a bunch of people, once again, watch, we're going to talk about that again. Have you seen that video, the totalitarian tiptoe? Have you seen that, Shonda?
No.
Look it up on X. It's a
Okay.
really good explanation. Well, we're at an hour. We've talked for an hour.
That was so quick.
Bam. We're through
just
it.
like that. Oh, it's 11:47. Wow. Okay. All right. So I feel like there's more on my mind, but I'm gonna save it.
Save it, Shonda. Save it.
I'm gonna save it. I've got so much going on up here. Just it's constant. All right, Adam.
All right,
Now,
sis.
are we gonna have a midweek one?
We're gonna try this week to definitely do it with just like a 20-minute one. Yes.
A little touch base.
Little touch base.
What's happened?
Yeah, what's happened? Next time we won't let a 12-day war occur where we don't even talk about it.
All right, Adam.
All
Have
right.
a great day.
Bye.
Peace out. Bye.